MTV Base has always been about representing the voice of young Africans. In the build-up to the 2015 presidential elections, we gathered a group of young Nigerians to be part of a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to sit down for a one-on-one discussion with the President of Nigeria, His Excellency, Dr. Goodluck Jonathan, to address issues affecting the youth of Nigeria today. Let's meet our panelists.
My name is Anyekan Nyaitok. I'm from Nsiak in Ikorekpene local government of Akwa Ibom State.
Hi, my name is Yagana Bukar. I'm from Birningiwa, Kaduna State.
My name is Fadikemi Akinfadering Agarau, and I am from Okitipupa local government in Ondo State.
My name is Jake Efodu. I am a native of Anambra State.
My name is Anuoluwa Kohundain, and I'm from Badagry in Lagos State.
Hi, my name is Jacqueline Inaka Inelli, and I'm from Aguleri in Anambra State.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are in Asorok for a very special edition of MTV Base Choose or Lose. Sitting here with me and the young panelists is the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan.
Thank you.
We're so happy to have you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. So we're, of course, representing MTV Base and the youth of Nigeria. And one of the things we love is music. And we'd definitely like to know what kind of music you listen to.
Thank you. Yeah, we belong to a different generation. But frankly speaking, as a young person, I used to love reggae music. So,
oh, wow.
But I listen to other brands of music.
So who's your favorite artist at the moment?
So many young Nigerians, trail players. I don't want to mention them. My other friends, my children would not be happy with me. So.
Well, in Nigeria, a lot of young people use music as their outlet. And over the past 10 years, it's formed a way that they've been able to, improve their lives. Is there anything within the entertainment industry that you'd like to do to help the youth to improve their life through arts and music and culture?
We must encourage young people. And in Nigeria, there are very young, talented men and women who play good music and are actors. Of course, the Nigerian movie industry is now appreciated globally. The only problem they have is the issue of piracy, which we are working very hard with them to reduce it so that if they're able to create something, they should be able to benefit from it maximally.
Speaking of piracy, Jackie has a question on that, right?
Yes, I do. All right, so Mr. President, music is now being heard all over the world thanks to platforms like MTV Base Africa, of course. So we would like to know what your plans are in terms of curbing out piracy out of Nigeria and helping the musicians get their due payments in terms of royalties from radio stations and the likes.
Yeah, that's one area. Of course, I already mentioned the issue of piracy. Incidentally, only today we launched 3 strategic documents that will help us in terms of security. One of the areas has to do with cybercrime and related issues, including the issue of piracy. So that is a security matter that has been examined.
And royalties.
The issue of royalties is another area. In fact, I was discussing with some private sector operatives, and we feel that to make sure that young people benefit maximally from their talent, especially the acting, is to encourage cinemas. In Nigeria, apart from Silverbird, it is not yet a big industry. And if you bring out a film and through the cinemas, you make more money than selling.
Okay, I thought it'd be fun if we started out with something light, which is why I started with the music. We do have a lot of very nitty-gritty questions we'd like to get to, covering education, power, leadership, and healthcare. But before we do that, I'd love us to get to meet the panelists that we have in the house with us today.
Hi, my name is Jacqueline Inaka Inelli, and I'm from Aguleri in Anambra State. I'm a TV producer and director and Renaissance woman. What makes Nigerians stand out is the fact that we're one wherever we are all over the world. What I'd love to ask Mr. President is questions related to education and the entertainment industry. I would love to know how good education basically can help in the development and growth of Nigeria, how education can actually help to build, in terms of technical education, people who build stuff, starting from the grassroots to tertiary institution.
Education is key, because that is an area that dear to me. First and foremost, I spent a greater part of my life as a teacher, as a lecturer. So we are tackling the education issues from the basic education to the tertiary level. Based on our constitution, the federal government ordinarily is supposed not to participate in basic education. That is the first 9 years of education, or even up to secondary education. But because of the challenges some of the states have, one will get to know that in some states, the dropout of schools as high as 72. And I said, no, the federal government must do something about that. So we started building some junior secondary schools and also Al-Majiri schools in the north. That is to handle basic and secondary education. Then at the tertiary level, when we came on board, out of the 36 states of the Federation, 12 states had no federal government-owned universities. And we established 12 universities to make sure that every state in Nigeria has an institution funded by the federal government that award degrees. We have some parastatals, I think, like the Petroleum Technology Training Fund, the PT. Recently, we trained some young people in piloting, helicopter piloting. I think we just trained the first female professionally qualified pilot. I think just last month or so that they finished from South Africa. So we cut across all the strata.
Mr. President, over the last couple of years, we've had quite a number of young Nigerians who have graduated from schools and not had access to employment, to good jobs. My question is, what has the administration done to make sure that more jobs are available? And more importantly, how does the administration plan to consolidate on those things over the next 4 years?
Jobs all over the world are actually created by the private sector. That's why this government has been private sector friendly, because without encouraging the private sector, you cannot create jobs for young people. The young people must be encouraged to set up businesses where they will engage others. That's why we launched this product. We talk about the You Win. And we want to emulate the Asian tigers. If you talk about the Asian tigers, these countries they call the Asian tigers, actually, what drives their economy, what makes them great, are not the mega businesses. That's one program of government that has been quite successful. But in agriculture, which is almost like a green area, we're also encouraging what we call the agripreneurs, young graduates who are to go into commercial farming. We must create young millionaires, and that is the area we are trying to develop the middle class. The Nigerian content law has helped Nigerians to expand their scopes and make sure that most of the jobs that hitherto were taken by expatriates are done by Nigerians now.
Now, there are other things that Nigerians are really concerned about. One of them is, which is top of mind, is healthcare, for example. So I'd really like us to move on to that next. However, let's just get to meet more of our panelists.
Hi, my name is Yagana Bukara. I'm from Birningiwa, Kaduna State. I'm a student. I would like to ask the President about his plans for the healthcare sector in Nigeria. Your Excellency, I want to commend your government on the fight of Ebola in Nigeria, and I also want to know if you are looking into investing in medical tourism in Nigeria.
Thank you. The health sector is another sector that this government has made significant progress. In terms of our health statistics, if you look at the average life expectancy, before this time, it was about 45, 47 years. Now it's 52. So even in those statistics, we have improved significantly. Then at the highest level, where the issue of medical tourism will be discussed, where we go to India, go to Egypt, of course, go to Europe and America for medical attention. I just buried my younger sister, my immediate younger sister, last month. Sister had a heart problem when I was a deputy governor. I asked my personal physician then, so where do we take this lady to in Nigeria? He said that after asking questions, said that the closest place we can do open heart surgery was Ghana. One hospital in Ghana, manned by, I think, some expatriates, not owned by the Ghanaian government. So I said, we have so many teaching hospitals, federal medical centers, so we can't do open heart surgery because he had some problems with the valves, the mitral valves also, either the mitral or bicuspid valves. But today, as we are talking, University of Ibadan is doing open heart surgery in this period. As we are talking, some Nigerian universities are doing kidney transplant. These are the things that take us out.
Fadikemi also has a question for you regarding healthcare.
Hi, my name is Fadikemi Akinfadering-Agarawu. I work for an NGO called Education as a Vaccine, and I am from Okitipupa local government in Ondo State. The question I would like to ask the President is to know what his plans are for ensuring access to healthcare services in Nigeria.
One of your good stories is obviously the fact that you signed the National Health Act, and I'm very excited about that. I want to use this opportunity to thank you. But we want to know, what are your plans in terms of implementing that act, and also what does this mean in terms of access to healthcare services for the Nigerian population, but more specifically for young people?
Yes, since we signed the bill into law, that means that we implemented. There were a few things that we're trying to sort out, because in some cases, if you want to implement a law, you have some issues. And we are trying to fine-tune it because of the source of funds. And we sign it so that people will not misunderstand us, but there are minor adjustments so that in young people, when they are sick, they will not need to get so much money to get treated. I feel sad when you watch on television, the advertising for some assistance, and some of the ailments are one that are not too expensive. So that's the purpose. But because it affects all the tiers of government, the federal, state, and the local government. And because of the way our constitution and our politics being played, there's always tension between states and federal. The states don't want federal government to impose things on them, like during the military. Military was a unitary government. Governors were appointed by Mr. President or head of government, but these days the governors just want to assert their rights. They quote the constitution for you. So before you implement something, you must look at the clinical details so that it will be history.
Okay, so we've heard some of the questions by the panelists in the House and the response by His Excellency, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Dr. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. What we're going to do now is ask you to make sure you go on Facebook and or Twitter using the hashtag MTVBase Choose or Lose. Make sure you share your comments with us as the program continues. More importantly, we also need you to go beyond just giving us your voice on Twitter or social media today and go out and vote on Election Day. You must exercise your right as a Nigerian, as a young person who cares about his or her country, and vote. Choose or lose. We're going to be right back after this to ask the President questions concerning power and leadership. Make sure you join us. Welcome back to MTV Base Choose or Lose. I'm sitting here with some of the most brilliant minds in Nigeria who, as young panelists, are representing the youth of Nigeria. Your voices and your opinions and your questions. Don't forget to use that hashtag as you're watching the show right now. Is MTV Base Choose or Lose. Now, we still have some more questions coming up covering power and leadership, but I'd definitely like to ask this one if you don't mind. Now, since you've been President, I've noticed that a lot of people in Nigeria love to wear the etibob now. It's become a fashion trend in itself, and I dare say you've set a lot of trends within Nigeria. Do you have a stylist that you work with, or are you just very fashion conscious anyway? It's an honest question.
Yeah, true.
Dying to know.
There's nothing very special about what I wear.
The etibob is very, very special. It's very dashing. It's very dapper.
Okay, we thank God.
Let's get back into it, starting with the very pressing issue of power in Nigeria. But first, let's take a look at our two panelists.
My name is Anuoluwa Pohundain, and I'm from Badagry in Lagos State. I'm a lawyer by profession, and I specialize in criminal and civil litigation. I have a flair for energy law as well. And I would like to ask the President questions about power, because, of course, that affects each and every one of us in Nigeria. Mr. President, your administration has achieved commendable strides by privatizing the power sector. When can we expect uninterrupted power supply?
You said it all. We have done the privatization. That is the beginning of the success story. You recall that some times back, I can't remember the exact year, when late Bolaige was appointed Minister of Power, And he told Nigerians that he was going to squeeze water out of stone. So that describes the power situation in the country. So the power sector in Nigeria is squeezing water out of stone. And we realize that the only way you can move forward is to make sure that the private sector handles it. So we privatize the generation. We have privatized completely the generation and distribution, because these are the areas where we have a lot of problems, generation and distribution, how you get power to the consumers. The transmission is partially privatized, because the downstream, the generation is privatized, the upstream distribution is privatized, the midstream, the linkage, if it is run by government, to create problems. So what we do is to kind of contract it out to this Manitoba as a private sector to manage that linkage. So with that, we are sure that, yes, we are not there yet, but in the next 12 to 15 months, I cannot say we'll have absolute constant power supply. But from all the information I'm getting, most of these companies that have bought their generating plants have doubled their generation. If we were still in the hands of government. In fact, I was to commission a one power station close to Lagos the other Saturday. As at the time they bought, one of the turbines was completely dead. They have now generated 250 megawatts from that. It has been dead for years, not 2, not 3. Even the one at Oheli were generated by 100 and something. Now they are generating 500 and something. And they want to make 1,000 before the end of this year. So you really see that the potentials are high. So this successful privatization process has now opened up. We've done what government should do. The private sector is on, and because it has taken a life of its own. So just be patient. It will not be up to 2 years. It will not be 24 months. We'll get to where we want to go.
Oreka is not just a young member of society, but he's also a young business owner. So I'd like to hear his question on power.
Hi guys, my name is Oreka Nyaitok. I'm from Nsiak in Ikodekpene local government of Akwa Ibom State. I'm a human resource consultant recruiting for service industry SMEs. What makes Nigeria stand out and what makes Nigerians stand out is our resilience and our ability to bounce back from any challenge we face, no matter how great and no matter how long it takes. And my dream for Nigeria is in Nigeria in the not too distant future, where we can all accept each other and we can all look beyond our differences to see the one thing that draws us together, our love for this country and our love for taking Nigeria forward. I'd like to ask Mr. President questions on power. Mr. President, my question is the government looking into alternate sources of power generation like solar energy as opposed to the more traditional?
Well, definitely, definitely. In fact, we have this program of Power Run Nigeria. We launched it in Abuja here. We're at the solar. So we're using solar, we're using wind. Well, of course, you agree with me that solar and wind are still a lot of limitations in terms of generating, maybe like you want to generate 100, 1,000. But we have a lot of units. We are investing the wind in Katsina and some parts of the north for small and rural lightning. But the major one is the gas turbine and the hydro power stations. And of course, we're also exploiting coal in Benue State. We have the work is going on, private sector, not government, to generate about 1,000 first is on coal-powered turbines. So we are looking at all the options. In fact, we're also looking at the nuclear, use of nuclear. But nuclear, because of the environmental implications, the IAEA, the International Atomic Energy Agency, regulates. So every country, if you want to generate power, because the fear is that depending on the level of beneficiation, you can use it to do destructive purposes. So the whole world will be looking at what you are doing. And so that they put you on a ladder. You finish the first rung, you go to the second rung. We've started long ago, but we are still on the second rung. They must be sure before they allow you to move to the next and the next because of the security implications of nuclear. But we believe that we'll also use nuclear to generate power.
All right, I believe that wraps up the power segment. Yeah, we're okay. So now we're moving on to the big one, Mr. President, which is leadership. Before we get into that, I'd really love us to get another chance to meet some of our young panelists.
My name is Jake Efodu. I am a native of Ugudunu in Neni, Anocha local government area of Anambra State. I'm a lawyer. My dream for Nigeria is basically a country that is free from violence, a peaceful nation generally. I would like to ask the president questions about leadership, but also about security. How can we tackle the insurgencies that we face in our nation today? We, as the youth of Nigeria, were worried about our safety due to the heightened level of insurgency and crime that we experience, particularly with the menace of Boko Haram. What is your administration doing to tackle this growing problem, sir?
Thank you. The issue of security is an issue that everybody gets concerned, especially, like you mentioned, the issue of the excesses of Boko Haram terrorists in Borno State, Yobe State, and Adamawa State principally. Government is working very hard. Otherwise, it could have been worse than this, and people must appreciate that. The first set of bombings took place in Abuja, where the United Nations building was bombed. It was in Abuja here. The police headquarters was bombed right here in Abuja. But if you look at what is happening now, we have pushed them backward. Even the core states of Borno, Yobe, and Adamawa, just barely 2 months ago, in Adamawa State, 7 local governments were under the control of Boko Haram. Now it's only 1 local government that is under the control of Boko Haram, Madagali. We've been able to take over the remaining local governments. In Yobe too, before this time around, almost 5 local governments were under their control. Now it's only 2 local governments that are partially in the mountainous area where we have quite a challenging terrain. And we've been encouraging our neighbors to work with us all this time. But now they are seeing the need for us. So just this week, both Chad, Cameroon, and Nigeria they have also keyed in. So I think I can say that we'll soon get to a point that young Nigerians will be quite happy with government. What we have today will surely crush it.
Mr. President, a lot of young people would like to get involved in decision-making because many leaders of today in Nigeria, including yourself, actually attained leadership positions at young ages. We're just wondering what ways or what method you would use to at least include young, intelligent, qualified Nigerians in the decision-making process so that we can build Nigeria together.
Young people in Nigeria are really involved. If you go to local government, you really see that most of the chairmen and vice chairmen and secretaries of the local government are very young people. The councillors are very young people, especially southern Nigeria. It's only maybe in the north we see fairly senior people introducing themselves as councillors. If you go to my state, the average age of a councillor is about 25. Yeah, I at least see people older than that. Then if you go to the state assemblies, like if you take when I was in Bayelsa State, which up to now, you really see that more than 60% of them are very, very young graduates, very young people who just graduated from universities 1 or 2 years and so on and so forth. Even among the commissioners, you see a number of very young people. Because when you come to the center, because as you go higher, even the laws, like you just have to be about 25 years that you are qualified to be a chairman of a council. I think 30 years or so for House of Rep or a minister. But for Senate, I think it's 40 years and President 40 years or so. So we'll continue to encourage you people.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much. It's been such an honor having you here with us today. And even though you wouldn't tell me who your favorite artist is, I know you did say you like reggae, so maybe off camera you tell me if you're more of a Bob Marley person, Danny Wilson, or General Pipe, but I'll ask you off camera. But I'd really like to get your final thoughts on something that you would like to share with every single young person who's Nigerian watching right now. What message would you like to share with them?
See, my message to the young people is, first and foremost, you must believe in yourself, you must believe in the country, and you must be patriotic to your country. Sometimes when I hear some young people talking about Nigeria, I feel sad. Because if you destroy your country, you have destroyed yourself. My belief is some of you here, what I mean by you is your peer, should be able to take Nigeria to the moon before I die. So believe in yourself, believe in your country, be patriotic to your country, work hard. Don't allow yourself to be used by some people for whatever reason, for anything negative, and always project a positive image for your country.
Okay, guys, so you've heard from our panelists. They've asked the questions, and His Excellency, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, has answered. Now, if you have anything else that you would like to discuss, make sure you drop it using the hashtag MTVBase Choose or Lose. That's on Twitter and Facebook. I cannot stress this enough. When election day comes, you have to make sure your voice is heard so we can create the Nigeria that we want. Make your voice count. Choose or lose.